Hey, what up, what up? Welcome back to another episode of Talk Your Shift. It's your boy Reggie here. Of course, this is presented by Reggie TV on YouTube. I got my big brother with me. What's up, Big Lou?
What's going on, everybody? Hello. Good to see everybody. Ready to get it kicked off again, and let's do it.
Yeah, we took a couple of weeks off. Schedules had us conflicted, but we back on it now. Today's topic, we wanted to jump into this no jumper podcast effect. I mean, I wanted to get Big Lou's thoughts on it. Of course, I'm gonna add my 2 cents, but just a lot of it's based in LA. What goes on in LA? A lot of people from LA, often are on the podcast. You know what I mean? So I wanted to get his thoughts on just what you think about the No Jumper podcast itself. Adam 22 is the individual who is hosting that podcast, and just like what you think of him and the podcast in itself.
Well, first of all, I know No Jumper is a really, really popular podcast, probably one of the most popular podcasts out right now. And to tell you the truth, from what I've, witnessed thus far, I'm not necessarily a fan of the podcast, only because I feel like it really exploits, situations and, current things going on in black neighborhoods only, and Adam 22 will bring on, co-hosts, from, the inner city black areas, some, gang affiliates, I should say, uh, from different, neighborhoods and stuff like that. He'll pay them, a nice little chunk of money or whatever the case may be to come in and tell pretty much hood stories or hood business or, whatever, which Adam, I believe, knows full well what, these, stories and information will lead to or the controversy that it could possibly bring, and it will definitely boost his numbers, So,
Right.
my disappointment in our community, and it's a mixed bag because you can understand from a person who comes from nothing or comes from poverty, when presented with an opportunity to make, I believe some of these guys have made, up to six figures, to be a co-host on the podcast. It's really hard to turn down that legit money. You know what I mean? And, feed your family and things like that. So I understand, you know, you could say that with so many other areas of life, where people work for somebody that they may feel like, is not, conducive or doesn't benefit, their neighborhood or, whatever, that we all have a boss that may not care about what's going on with us internally, like I say, local situations and things like that. So it's hard to get people to turn down money like that, and, you know, figure out another way to make it. So you understand
Right.
why some people may take these jobs and things like that, but if you would ask yourself, does it do more harm, to your community for this information to go out, or, does it benefit it? I don't know. For me, I feel like it does not benefit, to put that information out on his podcast. I've heard about him bailing guys out of jail and things like that, which may sound like a good deed. And again, it may sound like a good deed, but I look at it like this. Adam 22 knows that these guys are his ticket to continue to make millions. And so what is it to bail a guy out of jail 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, $20,000 if you know the guy is going to make you $2 million, you know? And
Right.
so it may look like, oh man, he's helping these guys, he's whatever. I believe he's really,
Right.
really thinking about his bottom line. And if it does
Of
not
course.
benefit him, then he does away with it. Or you'll see something
Right.
happen. Or it seems like most people who end up on his thing end up behind bars. And that's just my take on it. What about yours?
Yeah. A lot of folks, either do end up behind bars. Some of them shot somewhere in a hospital, something like that. But black exploitation, man. That's what we really talking about here. Is if we being real, it ain't nothing that has to do with anything but an individual figuring out a way to make money off the backs of black individuals, whether it be through labor in the fields, entertainment on YouTube, video clicks and likes. Talking about, like you said, exploitation of the culture and our neighborhood rituals and things that happen in our neighborhoods that are traditional for, like, whether you're in a gang family environment or affiliation or not. These are a lot of things that we just grew up being around, whether we were affiliated or not, and they realized that there's is monetization in our culture, in our stories, in our how we grew up, how we coexist with each other. So one of the points that you make about bailing people out, that's an investment he's worried about. He's not thinking about, like, this person's future and how they're gonna take care of their family.
Right.
And just like a lot of these other podcasts that are out right now, the Fresh and Fit and all these other pop. It was another one that I was thinking about, where the topics every day are either black culture, black woman, and talking about the black woman, and down talking them in that manner. I feel like it's to hell with all of these kind of uh culture. I hate to use the word culture vulture because that's just so cliche. Again, that's what it is. It's just like you devour up the energy and any resources and try to monetize it, and that's exactly what No Jumper means to me. It's nothing but an opportunity to exploit our black men, put them in a position where now they need him. They coming back for more episodes because now it's almost like your white daddy on what's that, Cadillac Records? Like where it's like now you need him, you asking them to borrow money to get to the next month. You know what I mean? Because now you didn't got so used to the money train that he's providing for you, and all that is your story and your life. You could have did that on your own platform. And again, and like I said, so there's some of your points about some of our historic poverty issues and systemic obstacles that's been put in front of us over the course of hundreds of years, put people in a position, like you said, where it's harder to turn down those uh, uh, big paydays, and whether you're making 10,000, 20,000, 100,000, whatever it is, and more money than these people probably have seen in a lifetime or in a long time.
Right.
And it's harder to turn that down. But what are you willing to sell yourself for? And I think that is one of the things that we as a community got to ask ourselves, because there's always going to be that offer to sell your soul. That offer is always going to be on the table. And like you said, I mean, if it ain't for community, if it ain't for the betterment of us as a people moving us forward, shit, can you do a self-preservation? Could it be about your own growth?
Right.
I mean, could it be about any of the things that we as people feel like we can do to help us progress forward?
Yeah. I would,
I mean, I think
but I
feel
would
like that's my
also
point.
add. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I feel like that's really what my point is. Just even though you want to be a part of those paydays, you can choose to be a part of whatever story and message you want to be a part of, and go down whatever path you want to go down.
Yeah, I
You know
was
what I
gonna
mean?
say I
So,
would add. The having a mic in front of you is a powerful thing. You know what I mean? So I think it's one of those things that most people, even if they don't have the ability to be able to, sit down and kind of speak to an audience, they want to be heard, point blank.
mhm.
And so when you put a mic in front of somebody, I think it just really infuses them to want to start talking. You know what I mean? And a lot of talking is not, good.
Right.
But again, I think the people and the powers that be know that. They know that once you put, some of these guys in front of the mic, that more is going to be said than needs to be. And that is really, some of the questions that are proposed are to bring out information to, coerce, to bring controversy and, beef. What would you do with to such and such if he whatever? Oh yeah, well last time he was here, I heard that he said little things that'll just make a person respond in a way that will bring this back and forth between two individuals or two different parties. So again, I think to be an interviewer is a skill. I think that's one of the things that Adam 22 does well is make these guys believe that he is all about them. And I, don't think that he is, about any of those guys at all, that he's about himself and that if he's not benefiting, then he's not interested. So we just have to
Right.
be
Yeah.
careful as a community on what information or what dirty laundry we choose to air out there. Some information is not meant to be aired out, you know what I mean? Or to be told behind a microphone, so
Right.
we have to understand that the people that are interviewing us, what is their bottom line before we sit down and have a conversation with them. So those are the things that we have to think about again. I understand, the paydays. I understand, needing money and getting money, but again, you just have to be careful and all information or whatever the case may be is not intended to be told.
Oh yeah, like you said, bottom line is being smarter about what our intent and the intention is of people that we're doing business with or that we're communicating with. You got to understand that the intention and care about it, and again, not just necessarily be looking for a payday, but care about what it is that you're delivering, what kind of message you're delivering. That got to be internal, bro. I mean, that's got to be something within the person. You know what I mean? And
Right.
you would hope that if that spoke about enough and often enough, that more people will get it. You know what I mean? And not necessarily rush to run out there and say crazy stuff just to get a couple dollars. You know what I mean? But
Right.
that, over here, of course, we like to shift topics a little bit, so I want to jump in on a different topic. This one, kind of wanted to discuss this Kanye DJ Academics interview, whatever conversation that they had, where this guy's dressed up in a Black Klansman outfit and saying all kind of crazy things like he God and all this stuff. I'm gonna jump into this one first, just because Kanye is one of my favorite artists. People often, say that he gets a pass because he's able to, kind of be reckless and do all this kind of stuff. I mean, I've always held Kanye accountable for what he said. I just think that I've always really been able to separate the music from all of the other stuff. And sometimes I know that that's not necessarily the best way to handle things in regards to just like speaking up and being, I don't want to call myself an activist, but speaking up and being outspoken about what's right and wrong and what I feel like I could add to the world, when he out here with doing these kind of antics. And for me, this is just another Kanye antic. This is to me, I want to sell an album. I wanna make a name for myself. I want to draw attention to myself. So I want to do crazy, outlandish things to do so. When he constantly, contradicts himself, he constantly goes back on things that he said in the past. You are unstable. You are literally a person that none of us reference in any manner to like anything to do with the world outside of music. And I don't know what other people are listening to this man outside of anything. They're trying to hear what type of sound is coming from his music. Other than that, I'm not listening to any one thing that he says. Out here talking about God is a jealous God. It's like how you was on Kendrick's side at one point, going against Drake, talking about, yeah, K Dot, let's get him. And now that Kendrick is on top, you mad because Kendrick is saying he's the best. So you mad at him because you feel like you the best. It's just like, bruh, it ain't always gonna be about you. He has a huge problem with just giving up, giving people props that people do with what they have it, and having temper tantrums. And that's exactly what this one of these things are. I feel like this is one of those situation where if you've whooped your toddler in the aisle in the store, pop them legs a little bit or something, or those one of those times where you ignore them. I think this is one of the times you ignore your child. You keep walking down the aisle.
Mm-hmm.
You just keep going. You just let them act the fool. Do it by yourself. Do it by yourself. Nobody's listening. Nobody cares. The store manager don't care. The people in the aisle don't care. Nobody cares. And you realize you're just standing there stomping and screaming and nobody cares. You just usually stop because you look crazy. And it's just like when you give it attention, and not necessarily like, even though we're doing a video on it right now, but I'm more so speaking about the people that look to Kanye for anything. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that's the type of attention that I'm saying we shouldn't give Kanye. we shouldn't give him Kanye attention as if we're looking for him to any type of reverence towards anything growth, evolution outside of music.
Right.
And again, I listened to a couple of their songs. They can still make good music. I can't deny it. You can't just be mad at somebody because they make good music. And I can say both things are true. You make good music and you say crazy, outlandish things. You do crazy, outlandish things. It's like one part of me, yeah, I don't want to support you in the sense of giving you streams and giving you likes or sharing your videos or whatever it is because of some of the things that you're saying and doing, which is understandable. That's the fine line. Like, I don't buy your clothing. I don't support you in that manner. But if a song comes on the radio or Pandora, am I going to change it because of what you said? I doubt it. You see what I'm saying? Listen to something that's old Drake that I used to like. I don't really rock with nothing new that he do, but some come on, but listen to it.
Right.
That's just how I operate. You
Right.
know what I mean? So
Right.
I don't necessarily know that I feel like that's supporting him. You know what I mean? Or supporting his ideals or anything that he believes in, because I don't feel like that is an indication that I support that individual or I support what they believe in because I play a song of theirs. You see what I'm saying? At the same time, when we're talking about moving our people forward, we shouldn't be looking for Kanye for any type of leadership qualities or anything on that topic. And those that are, those are the people I'm talking to. If you're looking for Kanye for any type of leadership, any type of personal development, you got bigger issues. I mean, because Kanye wilding, son, straight wilding. Like, I'm talking about what Martin said he was doing on that street when he was lunching. You know what I'm talking about? He was in the middle of the street tripping like that, lunching. My man is on one. You know what I mean? So what you gonna do about that?
Yeah.
How you gonna be doing saying crazy stuff like that and then put out a good song? What I'm gonna do? Be mad at the song? You see what I'm saying? Like,
And a lot of people
it is what it is.
probably based on what they've heard from him, just giving his messages and stuff like that. People want to know what craziness is going to be in the song. You know what I mean? So
That could be true too.
I think a lot of people just want to know, like, where is this dude's mind? And just to give him my little take on it, man. Only thing I can really, really say, I mean, as I shake my head, is I hope Kanye in his own self and his own right. I hope he's happy and that he's happy with himself. That's all I know to say. Nobody knows what's going on with you, brother. You know what I mean? You make it really, really hard for people to support, you in the messages that you're trying to give and things like that. It becomes very, very confusing in what you're trying to, or the objective and what you're trying to accomplish. You know what I mean? Do you want people to
Right.
listen to you? If you want people to listen to you, putting that dark winged duck cape is not going to help people to understand what you're saying, man. That's all I'm saying. So if you have, it's going to distract people from the message. So I think you old enough to understand, unless you just really, there is no message there and you just want attention. Because your time is passing. You know that there is a young, up and coming, very, very talented group of individuals making good music coming up from under you. And the name Kanye West is going to diminish like some of the names of old. Let me just say that without really putting any one name out there, you know.
Yeah.
So Kanye, you may be on the back end of your music right now.
Yeah.
You
Ain't
know,
no maybe though, bro.
you know.
And that's evolution.
I mean, but what I'm saying is, people make surges. I have no idea. Kanye may make an album in 2 years and he look like himself. Music can do that. You know what I mean? He come back and
Right.
whatever,
But
and
Lou,
he
but
can
what
just
I'm
get
saying
this.
is it still got nothing to do with what you've given us. It is the truth.
Right.
It is the truth. You can come back and make a number one album. Nobody's saying that you're not capable of making a number one album. What we're saying is that you all have a wave and a time, bro.
Oh, of course, everybody has a
That's
wave and a time, but I think really, to tell you the truth, people still want to feel relevant. You know what I mean? People want to feel relevant. You know what I mean? Who's at the top? 1A, 1B. I think it's less about who's at the top and more so are people still in some ways, calling my name or whatever. And really, people are calling his name, but they're not calling his name in the way that he wants them to be calling his name. They calling his name.
And that's some issue. Yeah, you got to deal with that internally though, bro. Because I think Wale has some issues like that, where he was mad because he wasn't as big as what he was, and
Right.
it's like you mad. You got 100,000, 200,000 people buying your songs, listening to your music, streaming it, going to your concerts, doing all of these things, bro. And you mad about the 800,000 people that's not?
Yes,
You see what
because
I'm saying?
if Kendrick is getting all this attention now and he has anything to say, that's exactly what it is. It puts your name in a conversation with the biggest, out there right now or whatever to make you relevant. Is it a topic? Which probably, in my opinion, is going to dwindle and go away because there is no comparison right now. You know what I mean? People just honestly still think and look at you as crazy. So they're not, people are really looking at Kanye now and kind of like showing their hand away, like, man, what is this dude
Yeah,
talking about
it's
now?
just another
You know what I
antic,
mean?
bro.
And
Yeah,
so
it's another
no
antic.
one's even taking the dude serious. So again, you can listen to the person's music and all of that, but the bottom line is I think Kanye has a lot to say. You know what I mean? He want to be a political dude this day. He want to be one of the best rappers in the world this day. He's the situation going on with him, his children's mom, all of that, you know what I mean? Him being a father, losing his mother. The dude just got a lot on his shoulders and, he needs some continuous, people in his corner and some support. You know what I mean? Period, point blank,
Yeah.
man, like no other. And whether he would admit it or not, that's just what the situation is. So yeah, I have no idea, man. I just hope, and again, in his own head, I hope he's happy and that he's doing what he wants to be doing and that he feels fulfilled. But the truth is, I already know what the truth is about that. Because if he
Right.
was, we wouldn't be seeing some of the things that we see.
We wouldn't be seeing these antics if he was truly happy with himself and happy with his course and happy with his path. You clearly admitted you're a jealous soul, and that is right there. It's just a ungodly thing. Period. That you out here jealous of other people and what they have and what they're accomplishing and verbalizing it and putting that out into the world. You did that on purpose, sir. So I mean, you can't really, like you said. Hopefully, he's getting what he needs for him and his mental health, which leads me into our course. Our final, always our topic is making sure that people get checked on. Your brothers and sisters, we checking in, making sure y'all good. But y'all can check on us too, making sure we good. Check on your people, check on your loved ones. You know what I mean? Sometimes we don't always deliver that little call for nothing because most time people think when you calling to ask for something. But maybe you do, you do one of those this week. Check in on somebody you don't normally check in on. Make sure people straight. Make sure you got the things that you need and the tools that you need to make sure you good for your mental health. Man, you can always do it here too. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all for tuning in on another episode. Talk your shift. We gonna be right back. We gonna double back with another one, y'all. We appreciate y'all. We out.
Good job. Take care.